Tonight on Elon Local News, a local man hit by a train. More information and reactions from his neighbors.
A movie theater that has been in Alamance County for more than 90 years. Find out what they're doing to keep their traditions alive.
Both the girls' basketball and softball teams did well this weekend. Find out more in sports.
You're watching Elon Local News.
Hello, and thanks for joining us. Our Naima Abdullahi is in the studio today with updates on Friday's fatal train accident. Naima?
Thanks, Katie. The accident happened at the overpass of East Webb Avenue and Fisher Street, near the Burlington Amtrak station. The victim was identified by police as Glenn Plester. Now, I talked to Plester's neighbors who remember him as a kind man who had to overcome difficult challenges in his life.
I'm Katie Merrigy.
And I'm Brian Mazurski.
Ralph Bird remembered his neighbor of 10 years who lived in this house. Police say Glenn Plester, a 50-year-old from Burlington, was struck and killed by a train late Friday evening. Former neighbor Margaret Bird recalls how she got the news.
Well, David come over here, David's across the street come up here and told us this morning. And he's the one that's told us about every one of the deaths.
Paul Worley, director of Rail Division of the North Carolina Department of Transportation, says this is the third trespasser death near the Burlington station.
There's no reason for anybody to be standing on a railroad track. There's plenty of places to walk. There's plenty out there. Only the train is going to be on the tracks. The train is not going to jump off the tracks and hit you.
According to Worley, the train was traveling at 40 miles per hour when it struck the victim. It takes 3 football fields for a train traveling at that speed to stop once the train operator sees that person.
We want people to be safe. We want families and we want individuals to be safe.
Well, he lost his job and he didn't have enough money to make his payments on his house, I don't think. And then he lost his house. And his girlfriend, she died, and it just a bad situation for him. Everything went down the hill for him.
The train conductor says Plester was sitting on the tracks but tried to move once he saw the train. The police continue to investigate the accident. Worley says the North Carolina Department of Transportation hopes to hold public outreach events to stress the railroad safety to the community.
The Lauren Astley murder trial continued today in Woburn, Massachusetts. Friend of both Astley and her ex-boyfriend Nathaniel Fujita took the stand. Astley would have been a member of the class of 2015 who was murdered in July 2011, just months before she came to Elon. A friend of Astley said the 18-year-old continued to talk to Fujita in the months after their April 2011 breakup because she was worried about him. A friend of Fujita also testified, saying that Fujita's personality changed senior year, causing his friends to avoid him. Fujita has pled not guilty by reason of insanity. He admits to killing Astley, but says he was mentally insane at the time. The trial will continue tomorrow at 9 a.m. Stay with Elon Local News as we follow this story.
3 Burlington residents were arrested Thursday for theft from Elon's Belk Library. The multiple robberies total more than $2,000. According to Elon police, the men claimed to be using the library. They would enter, steal items like laptops and cell phones, and then exit. After 3 thefts occurred, police were able to identify the suspects from surveillance footage. They caught the men after a 4th item was stolen. So far, Elon Police Chief Dennis Franks tells us 3 of the stolen items have been recovered, and there's not been another incident since the arrests.
North Carolina and the rest of the nation could face some drastic budget cuts on Friday. On March 1st, the sequester, a plan made up of automatic spending cuts across the government, will go into action if President Obama's budget plan is not passed by Congress. The sequester was made to force Congress to come to a compromise on the nation's budget. Here's how the sequester, if put in effect, will affect North Carolina. $25 million in funds will be cut for education across the state. Low-income college students will be affected. Roughly 1,200 students will not receive federal college aid, and 900 will not get federal work-study jobs. And the job search assistant budget will brace cuts of around $83,000. More than 15,000 people searching for jobs would be affected by this decrease.
The weather is still chilly. One option to get that sun-kissed look is an indoor tanning salon. Teens 14 to 17 are allowed to tan at a salon with parental consent, but North Carolina legislatures are considering making changes to the legal tanning age. Our Matt Lee has the story.
A bill in the North Carolina House would make indoor tanning illegal for those under 18, even with parent permission. Elon student Lizzie Ballard explains why she likes going to the tanning salon.
At a certain point, it kind of becomes therapeutic, like maybe a little bit addictive.
The Center for Disease Control says people who use tanning beds before 35 are 75% more likely to get melanoma. Alamance Health Center's Christina Knight says increasing the legal tanning age will prevent skin cancer.
The younger you are exposed to tanning salons and UV rays, the more increased chance you're going to have of skin cancer.
But not everyone agrees.
Parents, as long as they're informed, that's enough to make the decision.
Tanning owners like Dennis Dang are concerned the new law will negatively affect business.
It's going to hurt small business. We are a small business. We're trying day by day. We pay our own taxes.
Tan Oasis, located just a half-mile away from Elon, closed earlier this year. Dang hopes he won't have to close shop, but says he's prepared.
If they ban under 18, we just ban under 18. There's nothing we can do.
For now, Dang and other North Carolina tanning owners will have to wait for the House to decide. Matt Lee, Elon Local News.
New Student Government Association executives will be sworn in April 4th, which means current executive president Darian Flowers will be stepping down. Flowers has been involved with SGA throughout his college career, moving up to executive president last April. After the results of the SGA election were announced, we sat down with Flowers to reflect on his time as SGA executive president.
I don't think it's productive for leaders to look back and say, would want to have that one back. You've made a decision, you need to stand by it. And that's what I'm prepared to do. I guess history will judge me accordingly. Sure. And, so will my colleagues and my constituents. But I'm not going to go back and say, I wish I could have revisited this or revised it. I think that it's one of those things where what's done is done, and that it's in the record.
But that's not all we have from Flowers. The extended interview will air tomorrow on ELN on WSOE 89.3 FM. ELN goes live on the radio at 5 p.m. tomorrow.
An Elon education has an emphasis on community involvement, and now there's a new way to serve. Elon has partnered with the Peace Corps for the Peace Corps Prep program. Students have to take courses in subjects like environmental science and global awareness. They also have to complete 100 volunteer hours as part of the program. This curriculum is specifically designed to make students stronger candidates for the Peace Corps when applying after college, and Elon is the 6th school in the nation to partner with the Peace Corps.
The Newman Lumen building is open after more than a year of construction. The new MultiFaith Center is open in the Academic Pavilion. It was scheduled to open on January 15th, but University Chaplain Jan Fuller says the delay is due to unexpected rainy days in the fall, and that the grand opening will now be on March 1st. Fuller expressed her excitement for the opening of the new MultiFaith building.
And of course, my goal is to really have students pass through here for the beauty of the building, for a little bit of silence, for some good music, to gather with a group of like-minded people, to learn something about a religion.
Residents in Virginia dormitory continue to deal with mold. We first brought this story to you last week, but now we have heard from Physical Plant. Physical Plant bleached rooms infected with mold and now says the situation is under control. In a recent email, Physical Plant identified the unusually rainy weather as the cause for the mold. Physical Plant says they will keep the humidifiers in the dorm until humidity is at the correct level. To avoid future problems, Physical Plant recommends residents do not leave wet clothes on the floor and wipe off condensation from windows immediately.
Coming up on Elon Local News.
It's a familiar voice to many Elon students, but do you know the face behind the microphone?
And this bakery owner knows more about than just donuts and cannolis. His story later in the show.
We went from sunny to cold and cloudy this weekend. Our Katie Moulton is here with a preview of what to expect for this week. Katie?
Thanks, Katie. It was a cold and cloudy day today, and it's only going to get chillier tonight. There's going to be a low of 33, so grab a jacket if you're heading out on a late night acorn run. And tomorrow, it's going to be rainy with a high of 47, so seniors make sure you grab an umbrella before heading to your senior pictures. Now, let's take a look at our Phoenix 5-day forecast. The sun will come out for the East Carolina softball team Wednesday when they take on the Phoenix at 5 p.m. And no need for rain boots on Thursday, as it will be partly sunny with a high of 55. Friday will be breezy with a high of 52, and it won't be ideal conditions for the baseball team when they take on Furman at 2 p.m. on Saturday. It will be cloudy with a high of 47. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Katie. Do you want a new way to work on that spring break body? From now until March 22nd, Campus Rec is offering a unique way to get in shape. Simply pick a destination in Florida, sign up with a lifeguard, and swim there. Each lap counts as 1 mile, and if you reach your goal, you win a prize. We asked Swim Club Vice President Alex Hay about what motivates him to participate.
It's usually pretty easy to get to the yards, and the prizes are usually pretty good. So it's just kind of fun to challenge.
As Elon's student population increases, the number of parking spots hasn't, putting some students in a tough situation. Our Jason Puckett talked to the man who watches over the towed cars.
Drive 5 minutes down Haggard Avenue and you find Chester's Automotive. It's a family-owned repair shop, but many Elon students know it for a different reason.
We do storage for the towing that comes from the campus parking lots.
But Chester Allred, the owner of Chester's, doesn't receive any money when your car gets towed. In fact, he's not even involved in the towing. He allows cars to be parked there as a favor to an ex-employee of his who now owns the towing company.
He needed a place to store that was close to the university. His facility is 8 miles away. We kind of figured out we would try it, see what happened.
Now, there aren't any towed cars here in this lot right now, but Chester says that on some days, like game days, there could be more than 20 cars in this same lot. And while the majority of interactions with students go well, Chester says sometimes they don't seem to realize he didn't tow their car. In one case, a male student took his anger out on Chester.
He was spiteful. He would park his car and get towed a couple times a week, and then come up here and want to show a little attitude to us.
But the bad interactions haven't stopped Chester. He says he loves being part of this community and that he hopes students will realize his location is much more than just a storage lot.
I would love to see all of you. I'd love to treat every one of you just as great as I can. We're here to fix you, the car.
Jason Puckett, Elon Local News.
Coming up on Elon Local News, I found a local business that's trying to keep history alive.
The owner of this Alamance County bakery perfected his skills in an unlikely place. Find out where after the break. Everything you love about Elon Local News is now on the radio. ELN has partnered with WSOE to bring you ELN on WSOE, a live radio news show airing Tuesdays at 5 p.m. to give you the latest Elon, North Carolina news updates. You can find us on Twitter at ELN on WSOE, on Facebook, and always online at elonlocalnews.com. ELN on WSOE 89.3 FM.
Some students head over to Carousel Cinemas to watch a movie, but I found another theater down the road with a lot of character.
Film is not perfect. Never has been, never will be.
Tim Matthews, fondly known as Tim Bob, bought Graham Cinema in 1984, then sold it to a local couple.
I still run it, so to speak. My son's the manager, but I look after things.
Matthews remains the heart of Graham Cinema, telling jokes, working with customers, and preserving this little piece of history. The doors of the single-venue theater have been open since 1924 and has seen world wars and segregation.
Black bathrooms.
Above the lobby are old bathrooms and an exit that were available for African-American customers only. Other than that, few things have changed.
People don't care about $3 or $4. We're at $4 now.
Another similarity?
And I said if I ever owned my own theater, I would give people free refills.
Matthew's dedication to preserving the past goes as far as the kind of movies he shows. The theater still uses 35mm film and projectors instead of the digital option used by most cinemas. Upstairs, Matthews showed me the reels from past films he's played, along with his own personal collection he's gathered over time. Some classics, Tom and Jerry, and Lassie. Also kept over the years, the previews, also on film in large boxes,
But a change in the industry is forcing Matthews to modernize.
Because they're going to do away with film. There'll be no film after this year. It'll all be digital. It'll all be computerized. So we got to do it.
Though the change will affect one aspect of the theater, Matthews has no doubt he'll be able to keep the business going. He's still
the movie man.
Katie Merrigy, Elon Local News.
If you looked out at the sky Saturday night, you might have seen a different kind of UFO. Chinese lanterns joined the stars in the Saxapaw sky Saturday evening. People lit and released the lanterns over Ha River to let go of their past and move forward with a new year. The event was put on to celebrate Chinese culture and raise money for East Chapel High School.
A local business owner shares the experience that made him a success and how perseverance changed his life. Our Steve Roth has more.
Places like this, there used to be more of them. There used to be one in Thomasville. There used to be one in Durham. But they are no more.
The Tasty Bakery in Graham, North Carolina originally opened in 1960, and current owner Paul Harden took over the shop in 2007. Harden says when he was younger, he never expected to own his own business.
Oh, Lord, no. Certainly not a bakery. Because when I started taking the classes, I mean, I couldn't bake a biscuit.
Those classes that Harden refers to took place behind bars.
Me and two of my nephews got into a fight at a Belmont food store at the time, and my nephew ended up killing a boy.
Harden was convicted of second-degree murder and got 15 years in prison, which was later reduced to 7.5. While behind bars, Harden took culinary classes and worked in the kitchen.
And I became the baker in the kitchen, baking for the inmates, so you know it better be good.
Harden never thought he'd own his own business, but when he was released from prison, he continued working in the bakery near where he grew up. Nowadays, he's paying it forward and giving back to his community.
The donuts and everything that we have left over every day, we give to the homeless shelter. You know, we don't throw them away. We don't save them for tomorrow. We don't sell day-old donuts or, you know, stuff like that. We give it to the homeless shelter so that it helps them out a little bit, you know.
Steve Roth, Elon Local News.
Gay rights activist Peterson Toscano performed a one-man play on campus Thursday. The play is called Jesus Had Two Daddies. It deals with Toscano's life as a Catholic who struggled with his identity as a homosexual before he became a Quaker. Toscano says that his background as an actor allowed him to keep his faith when he came to terms with being gay.
For me, I'm fortunate that I was able to take the time and I have the skills and the means to unpack what I believe. So I used comedy, I used theater, I used Bible scholarship, and that helped me work my way through so that I could still retain some sort of faith and be authentically.
Students gathered in McKinnon Hall Saturday morning to hear from another gay rights activist, Zach Wahls. Wahls has spoken around the country. He gave a testimony in front of the Iowa House Judiciary Committee. The testimony went viral on YouTube, and Wahls continued his mission by writing his book, My Two Moms, to further the gay rights movement. Wahls also spoke at the Democratic National Convention in Charlotte.
But in my 19 years, not once have I ever been confronted by an individual who realized independently that I was raised by a gay couple. You know why? Because the sexual orientation of my parents has had zero effect on the content of my character. Thank you very much.
Elon is full of interesting people. Our Gary Grumback found one of them in this week's Throw a Dart.
Last week, we found a story outside of West Hall. Let's see where the dart lands this week. Looks like we landed right near Belk Library. Let's go find a story.
May I have your attention? The third floor will be closing in 5 minutes.
A familiar announcement to many Elon students. What's not familiar is the man behind the voice. Dwight Davis is Belk Library's late-night librarian. He walks through the doors at 11:30 p.m. and leaves when the sun comes up.
I treat the night like my morning.
But while his late hours could affect his family life, Davis is happily married with 3 children.
And so we still get to have interaction with each other. And mostly on the weekends we get to spend more time together, but during the week we don't get to spend as much.
Davis says he's a father to more than just his own children.
For some of them, I give wake-up calls and tell them, go take a nap, I'll wake you up.
And his experience spans far beyond the bookshelves of Belk.
I went into the military after graduating from high school.
But Davis wasn't quite on the front line.
The funny thing about it is I got sent overseas to Germany and was pulled from a line troop to work in headquarters, and actually ended up establishing the 1st Squadron Learning Center, which was almost like working in a library.
Davis puts one book above the rest. He's a pastor at a Burlington church.
The objective is to live a life so that others can see, in my situation, Christ in my life.
And while students are getting ready for their day, Dwight is headed home. Gary Grumbach, Elon Local News.
I'm Jamie Daffner. Coming up in sports, we'll have highlights of all the action that took place over the week, as well as an NFL update on Aaron Mellette. Stay tuned. The women's basketball team has had a strong season so far. 14-12 overall and 11-6 in the Southern Conference has put the team in a strong position before the SoCon tournament. They look to improve that impressive conference record on Wednesday night when the team took on Wofford at Alumni Gym. Let's get to the game. The Phoenix have boasted a 10-2 home record so far. Allie Ford was trying to keep that mark up early as she connects on a 3-ball. Ford would finish the game with 11 points. Kelsey Evans had a big night as well. She worked well in the paint all game, here scoring on a nice jump hook. Evans would finish the game with 21 points and 7 boards. Here's one of those rebounds as she takes charge and puts back in the missed shot. Wofford would make things tough though. Elia Johnson would hit on a jumper here, and later, Morgan Ryderson would use a nice pump fake to score under the basket. But Elon's team effort was too much for the Terriers. The Phoenix passed well, shot well. Allie Ford connected on her jumpers, and Kelsey Evans was too good down low. But with under a minute left and only up by 3, Ford would find Kelsey Harris wide open, and she would nail the jumper to seal the deal. The Phoenix would go on to defeat the Terriers by a final score of 62-58. Here's Kelsey Harris on the team's late game execution.
She just saw me open. I just shot it. It went in, and I think from that point we were able to hit our free throws and just seal the game with, playing strong and not making any turnovers.
The softball team continued its early season play over the weekend, hosting the Phoenix Softball Clash. Elon played and won all 3 games over the weekend. The first team, they took on the Temple Owls, winning 8-3. Tomika Watson hit a 2-run homer in the first inning to put Elon up early, and later in the third, Johanna Spencer launched a 3-run bomb to extend the lead. Elon then took on St. Peter's and had no mercy for the Peacocks, thrashing them 10-0. Eve Clausen towed the rubber for the second game of the day and only gave up 2 hits in 5 scoreless innings. Watson had a nice game again, going 2 for 2 with 2 RBIs. The last game of the day was against St. Peter's as well, and Elon continued their hot hitting and good pitching, taking care of the Peacocks again by 10 runs, winning this time 13-3. Watson hit yet another home run in this one, and Karen Berna picked up the win for Elon on the mound. After the tournament, Elon improved its record to 5-4 on the year. College receivers who hope to turn pro have been working out in the NFL Combine in Indianapolis, and one of those receivers is our very own Aaron Mellette. According to CBSSports.com, Mellette ran a 4.54 40-yard dash, falling in the middle of the pack of all the receivers. Mellette also fell in the top 20 in the vertical and broad jumps, as well as in the bench press workout. On the downside, Mellette was on the receiving end from one of the best passes of the Combine so far, coming from the hands of highly touted West Virginia quarterback Geno Smith, but Mellette dropped the ball right as it fell between his arms. So, some good and some bad so far from Mellette, but we won't know what any of this means until the NFL Draft begins on April 25th. Now, let's take a look at what's coming up in sports. It's a busy week for Elon Athletics, starting off with baseball on Tuesday against Liberty. On Wednesday, the softball team will take on East Carolina, and the men's basketball team will face Davidson. More softball and baseball action towards the end of the week as Virginia Tech and Furman will be coming to town. Over the weekend, the women's basketball team will play Davidson at Alumni Gym, and at the same time, the baseball team will do battle with Latham Park. Later that night, the men's team will play their last home game of the year against UNCG. And to cap off the week, the Citadel will take on the baseball team on Sunday afternoon.
Thanks, Jamie. We always look forward to your sports updates every week, and we thank you for tuning in and looking forward to Elon Local News every week as well. That's all we have for today.
Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
You can find us throughout the week at elonlocalnews.com. And starting tomorrow, we launch something brand new, Elon in the Morning.
We're very excited about it. We have a lot of good stuff for you, so tune in 9:50 tomorrow during College Coffee.
We hope you join us and have a great rest of the week, Elon.